Hello, hello. I ain't got my glasses though. Hello, and welcome to Straight No Chaser with Dr. Julius Bailey. As you know, I am Julius Bailey. One day I'm gonna come up in here and say I'm not gonna be Julius Bailey. It's gonna be a guest host, but I am Julius Bailey, and we are live on the campus of Wittenberg University here in Springfield, Ohio. It's a bit dreary today on this stormy Monday, but hopefully wherever you are, if you're not in Springfield, that it's the sun is in your face. If this is your first time here to Straight No Chaser, welcome. We welcome you. We are a 1 hour digital talk show where we bring you news, culture, politics, and sometimes fun. But certainly we're here to educate and stimulate your mind, hearts, and spirits. If you enjoy what you experienced today, I ask you to like the Straight No Chaser page on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, share this with your friends, and let everybody know that one of the best digital talk shows on the internet is that Straight No Chaser with Dr. Julius Bailey. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've self-promoted, so I got to do it. I have to remind those watching that I am an author of 5 books and 1 memoir. My 2 political award-winning books are social justice oriented, and they should be seen right now on your screen as racial realities and post-racial dreams, as well as racism, hypocrisy, and bad faith. So we look forward to you supporting that at www.juliusbailey.com. Also, if you are in Akron, Ohio, I will be there Thursday. I'm excited to see you this week as your special guest for the Akron Roundtable. I'm excited about that awesome responsibility. I hope to deliver the best speech of my life to my Northeastern Ohio peeps, right? We are, 22 days away from the election, and I'm simply excited. I even signed up to be a poll worker because, I don't want no mess in my precinct on election day. So I'm going to be there to put my hands and my heart, put these hands if necessary, but heart, I'm just joking, heart and minds into ensuring a smooth election. Have you voted yet? Remember, across America, early voting has begun. So go to your county board, fill out your mail-in ballot. Despite all the BS that 45 is talking about, mail-in ballots and are definitely safe. Have a plan, execute that plan, bring a friend with you. I mean, certainly we know there's a whole bunch of mess going on, even in courts. So do it the earlier the better, because states like Ohio and Pennsylvania and Texas and others are in court right now with Trump's people and Republicans who don't want to make voting convenient. What kind of mess is that, right? Folk out here talking about voting suppression ain't real. I mean, but you got, counties with hundreds of thousands and millions like Houston or Philly, and they're being asked to put ballots and put your ballots in one drop box location. Not even is that convenient, but that is an example of sort of what voter suppression looks like, knowing that America is a country of convenience, and we can certainly put more in one drop box in a city. So keep the pressure on your legislatures and make sure that your state boards of elections are doing just that. A colleague of mine, as we transition into our first guest, a colleague of mine Saturday, I believe, sent me an email and said that I heard who's appearing on your show this on Monday, Dr. Bailey. He said that me and my wife, we fully support Dr. Enoch. And he went on to say that we're rooting for her. And then I'm going to quote something that he told me. He said, she is clearly, he said, superior to our asinine incumbent that has been in our district. And so I'm excited to let you know that if you're in District 8, that we have to certainly make sure that we vote for our next guest. She is an ardent advocate for criminal justice reform. I'm certainly familiar with her work with the Coalition for a Just Hamilton County. She is a public policy specialist and a business consultant. Those of you Crimson and Gray, Scarlet or Gray, she is a graduate of the Ohio State University as well as Xavier University. She is our next U.S. Congressman from the state of Ohio, representing the 8th District, Dr. Vanessa Enoch. How are you?
I am wonderful. And thank you so much for having me, Dr. Bailey. And thank you so much to your colleague who gave such a wonderful, wonderful testimony to his support of me and a great description of the incumbent. I mean, I have to.
You ain't supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say.
I'm just in agreement.
No, certainly. I mean, we at Wittenberg, so certainly I can't speak for Wittenberg, right? But certainly a number of my colleagues and staff and students have been following you. Obviously, you've been working very closely with another one of our colleagues in Cynthia Richards. And so we certainly support her and her race against another brother that needs to go and have a sit down here at the state rep in terms of Kyle Kohler. Well, we're just excited about you, and let's just get to know each other a little bit. Tell us about yourself and a little bit of your background in this area.
I have a very diverse background. As you mentioned, I'm actually currently a business owner. I've owned my business for over 21 years. It is a management consulting firm. We also do political consulting and work with legislators across the country. In addition to that, I have owned a construction and commercial cleaning company. I've also worked in corporate America. I worked as a IT project manager for companies in the insurance industry. I also did IT project management within other companies. I worked for GE in their express parts division. I've worked for the federal government in the Small Business Administration, as well as I was a paralegal there, and I've worked for several law firms as a paralegal. I also worked as a chemical dependency counselor in another life. And so I've done quite a bit leading up to my run for Congress. And so my diverse background, I believe, will be a strength for me as I am entering a congressional seat.
No question. I mean, just this morning I was in the barbershop, actually a barbershop you've been in. I heard I was at a barbershop in Springfield called Bootstraps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they said that you've been in there, you had like a little event there. And so, one of the things they were talking to me about, they were really trying to understand, because they trust me to give them the political insides on stuff. And they were just like, man, this sister needs to win. Like, what's going on, Doc? What do we need to do? And so, I want to talk to you a little bit about that, right? This, honestly, those in this district know that this is your second attempt at defeating our current congressperson in the 8th Congressional District. And so in your second attempt here, sort of how have you gone about this election cycle differently than you did in 2016?
Great question. And so 2018, right. Great question. So what we have done is, number one, we've made a concerted effort to get to the doors of people, to go directly to folks' doors. We're doing a lot of lit drops in our communities where we had very little participation in my last election. We had precincts throughout the district where they are predominantly Democratic, predominantly African-American, predominantly low-income communities, stayed home in 2018,
right.
Which is typical for Democrats in off elections. For some reason, we don't vote when it's not a presidential election. So we have intentionally gone out to those communities to make sure that we put lid on doors and invited them into several of my online events, virtual events, because of course COVID-19 has made it difficult to campaign in the way that traditionally we would campaign. No face-to-face interaction or very little. I have attended quite a few events in the community across the district. I have gone to a lot of the Black Lives Matter rallies. I've gone to even several gun violence rallies in Springfield, as well as meet and greets. So what we're doing differently now is making sure that we're actually getting my name out to the people, directly to the people, to their doors to say, here's who I am. We're even doing, personal letters so that they know who I am, not just a rack card, and giving them more information so that they can make an informed choice this season.
No, I mean, that's so important, right? I mean, you're putting in at work. We recognize that having you represent us is so important. And so, you talked about the way you approach it. So let's just talk it kind of on a philosophical basis or a policy basis. For those who are listening or are making the decision or are going to vote today or this week and going to call their cousins and aunties and brothers and stuff to vote, tell us what is the sort of the clear distinction outside the fact that he is asinine and you are you are lucid and intelligent and thoughtful. What is the stark contrast that you want people to understand that is the difference between you and Warren Davidson?
I want people to understand that Warren Davidson is not advocating or working on behalf of the people of the district. He's not representing the people. He is representing big business, special interest groups. He's representing people with money, the banks. He's representing the insurance industry. And so when you think of those kinds of things, you think of things like high student loan debt. He's not voting for to ensure that education is affordable. You think of things like difficulty in securing mortgages because he's working on behalf of the banks. So anything that is against what people want. In fact, when we debated and the moderator asked, what are the priorities for the people across the district? He didn't have an answer for that because he doesn't know. He doesn't interact with the people of the district. So I'm fighting for the people. I'm fighting for things like affordable health care, for good paying jobs. I'm fighting for things like ensuring that through this pandemic that people are taken care of and that we're able to come back from it. We're in the midst of a terrible time as far as our economy is concerned, as far as our health is concerned. Those are the kinds of things that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting to save Social Security, and I know it can be done. I am working to ensure that everybody's paying their fair share and that wealthy people aren't walking away with $750 tax bills while my 19-year-old is paying more in taxes working for fast food restaurants. I think that it is a travesty, but because of the way this system has been structured against the people, people have been suffering and they don't understand why. And they've been told that these terrible immigrants are taking their jobs, when in actuality, we don't even have many immigrants across the 8th Congressional District.
Right.
And so, to hear those kinds of explanations, people buy it hook, line, and sinker without even really thinking about it. Like, wait a minute, it couldn't possibly be them. We are in a district where 90% of the people are white. And so it's not that, but what it is that the system has been structured to benefit the wealthy to the detriment and the marginalization of the lower income working families or low income families. And so those are the families that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for the interest of the people. And so that's a stark difference. I'm also another difference too, Dr. Bailey, is that my opponent has never worked a job outside of working for his daddy, and then the businesses that he was able to start as a result of the work he's had to do for his dad. So he does not understand the work world. He doesn't understand what the rest of us go through. He has no understanding of, just the regular struggles of ordinary people because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Right.
I was not. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I've struggled through, and sometimes even working several jobs, teaching at several universities, or running a business while teaching, just to make ends meet. So he doesn't understand those kind of struggles, and that's also a clear distinction between me and my opponent.
And that's so important. And I think our listeners, and especially if you're in the eighth congressional right now, what you need to ask yourself, and this is me talking, this isn't talking for her, but I think what you need to ask yourself is, you know, certainly you ask yourself, what does change look like, right? And then in your mind, on those of you in the eighth congressional district of Ohio, you've been sort of almost hemorrhaged, I would say, if not a sort of handcuffed, from, Boehner to Buzz before that. I mean, you've been handcuffed with people who certainly were myopic, right? Sort of one vision, and that vision has been to the upper class and ensuring a sort of a negation or isolation of working class and working poor people. I do understand. Again, I do. This is me speaking. If you're in the eighth district, I do understand. You're thinking to yourself, listen, I'm doing okay. I heard her say that he's for big business, and I'm not. That's not what she's saying. Understand that a big business is benefit when everybody benefits, right? Big business, big pharma, big energy. Like, these companies benefit when everybody is healthy and everybody is engaged and everybody is working. And so what you have to ask yourself, eighth district, is why should you need a change? Because there are people in your district who aren't benefiting the way Warren Davidson are. As Vanessa Enoch said, there are people who not just weren't born with silver spoons in their mouth, some people weren't even born with spoons in the crib. You know what I'm saying? And so the reality is we have a responsibility to make sure that the 8th congressional district in the state of Ohio is one of inclusion, is certainly one of the future and not the past, right? It's been 43 years, right? Y'all been locked in this history, right? It's time to understand what today looks like. And so you have a candidate here who, and Vanessa Enoch, you want to make sure that you correct me here. You have a PhD in public policy, right? Yeah. You've already mentioned you've been a factory worker, you've owned your own business, you've been a middle manager and a senior manager. You are certainly everything that a congressional district needs. And so I believe personally, you are well prepared and well positioned to speak on behalf of the state. And I think the 8th congressional district needs to sort of follow me with that understanding, right? Is that a fair construction of who you are?
Yes, it is. And let me say this as well, just to clarify something that you said. Number one, we have been under one party rule for 81 years in this district. We have not had another party represent the district. And what that equates to is our per capita income is less than the national average. Our household income is less than the national average. So it's not that as a whole that we're doing all that great. And here's the thing to understand about that. When people in our district struggle, where do they turn to ensure that their livelihood and their vitality is in place? They are going to our social services, to the welfare department, and that puts a strain on those systems. And so we're still paying for it in the long run. So we want to make sure that corporations are paying what they should be paying their employees. As a small business owner, I understand that it's a struggle to pay a livable wage. But there's more than one way to do that. We can do that without putting a strain on small businesses.
Mm.
We can ensure that people are trained for good paying jobs and that more good paying jobs come into the system. Our manufacturing community, those are good paying jobs, but our young people don't have the skill set to be able to do it. They don't have the science and technology background. Those would enable us to, preparing those young people to take those jobs would enable us to do better as a whole. But we're not investing in our people. We're not investing in education. Our public school education is failing. We need to incorporate more of what's happening in those private schools rather than trying to do away with the resources that are coming into the public schools. Why aren't we incorporating some of the things, some of the positive things that are happening in private schools? I came up in private schools and public schools when we were struggling and didn't have the resources to pay for my private school education. My mom pulled us out and put us in public schools.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that all children have access to an equitable education, that all children have the opportunity to succeed in our communities, because it could be any of us. I'm sure there are people who never expected that they could ever lose their job, that were out of work. And 38 million people were out of work in this country.
Yes.
And so it could be any of us. So we need to ensure that we shore it up and that we make sure that we have a system that is a system that can help people move up out of poverty and that can help sustain us. And so we're not talking about taxing people to death.
Right.
We're talking about making sure that the systems that are already in place are working for the people and not just big business.
Now, see, this is what I'm talking about, 8th Congressional District. Listen to her. You're talking about someone who just in a period of 3 to 5 minutes fully explained to you the difference between somebody who understands what business is, who understands how business operates, who certainly can talk you through issues of taxations and insurances and working wages and profit margins and all that. Not someone who's never owned a business, someone who's never had employees. I mean, this is why this election is so important, 8th Congressional. This is why you need to pay attention to this particular race and vote for Dr. Vanessa Enoch. Doc, so if you're anything like me, like you envision kind of what, November 3rd night going to look like, who's going to be at your party, right? You probably envision, what kind of food you're going to have, but you probably thought about, when January comes and you do have on maybe that white business suit like they did 2 years ago, that you'll be a freshman congresswoman and sort of what the next steps is. Have you thought about like maybe what a committee you would be best suited for? I was thinking something like labor, energy, or commerce, something like that. Have you thought about what a committee you would love to serve on?
Of course, I'd be proud to serve on any committee that would benefit the 8th Congressional District. But I've thought about things, some non-traditional things like the Agricultural Committee. We are a huge agricultural district. I'd serve on the Appropriations Committee. I want to be on the Budget Committee. I have an MBA, and so I understand, finance. I want to be on the Education and Labor Committee. And, I think I should say as many committees as possible so that whoever has the opportunity to make those decisions, that if they think they're going to shove me on a committee that I don't want to be on, they need to understand I'm ready to go and serve on any committee in Congress.
I know that's right. That's right.
My dissertation was on the judiciary. And so I'm ready to serve on that committee. I've run a small business. My master's degree is in information technology. So put me on science, space, and technology. I live abroad. Put me on the foreign affairs committee. I believe that we need to develop our infrastructure. Put me on that committee.
Go ahead.
Fighting for the past several months for our veterans to make sure that they get aid and attendance. For veterans who have suffered traumatic brain injury. Those are the ones that my opponent said are moochers and he didn't call them freeloaders. He said moochers and something to that effect, freeloaders or something. And so I want veterans to know I'm ready to serve on that committee. So whichever committee they put me on, they need to know that my background, my diverse background has equipped me to serve on any of those committees in Congress, and I'm ready to serve.
No, that's real. You had mentioned the justice, your PhD work, and as we speak right now on television, they are having a conversation around, the Amy Coney Barrett, and her process is going on right now. Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, are you thinking about maybe they, I don't know. I don't want to rehash it. I mean, she's in the process. So the process is moving now, right?
She'll most certainly be confirmed by people who said that we should not be confirming Supreme Court justices in the last or after people have already started voting. So I want people to pay attention to what's happening right now. Pay attention to the fact that these people do not keep their word. And so when they say to you that we're going to make sure that you keep your health care and that your kids can stay on your health care, that we'll protect people with pre-existing conditions, they are going back on their word right now as they confirm Amy Coney Barrett. And so I want people to just pay attention to that, because what we're seeing in this country right now, today, and of course I was glued to that TV, we're seeing the partiality of the bench. We were told that the Supreme Court and all of our courts are supposed to be impartial. We see today that not only are they not impartial, but that people are willing to go back on their word. And we know that all you have is your word.
Right.
And people are willing to go back on their word just to ensure that they put somebody on the bench who is going to vote the way that they want them to vote. And even somebody who is going to fight to ensure that they protest and fight even a fair election where your voice is heard. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that you get out and vote, understand what's at stake here. We have the potential not just to lose things like elections, as vital as this election is, and things like our health care. We're talking about the potential for turning back 100 years of civil rights legislation, with just bringing one person on the bench. So we have to ensure that we get the right people in the legislature who can help ensure that our laws are protected against people on the bench who might make the kind of partisan decisions that the people do not favor. So that's what we're seeing right now.
And that's exactly why not only having you on the show today, but why I've been so gung-ho across the country, just watching who the U.S. congressmen and women and senators who are coming in, because it's pretty clear to me that, the executive branch is doing everything that it can to, pack this judiciary. And the only way that our voices are going to be heard is through the Senate. And so 8th Congressional District, those who are listening to me, those who will forward and share this video, you need to cast your vote for Dr. Vanessa Enoch for U.S. Congressman, or Congresswoman in this case, for the 8th Congressional District. This isn't just about whether, this is a lifetime decision right now. There's things going on in DC that you need Dr. Enoch's voice. So again, we just want to thank you, Dr. Enoch, for taking the time to come on our show. Certainly, it's always a pleasure when I see you and I run across you, and I certainly hope to see you again before the election. But if for whatever reason I don't, I just want you to know that you fully have my support, and everybody on my block, you got their support. And so trust me, we appreciate you. We appreciate your steadfastness We appreciate your stick-to-itiveness, and we're going to do our very best to unseat Warren Davidson and bring you to Congress. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you to your audience for watching and listening. Can I give my website?
So that's what I was about to do next. Yeah, but you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. You can go to enochforcongress.com, and that's ENOCH, enochforcongress.com. You can volunteer right there on the website. We are doing lit drops still across the district. So no matter where you live in the 8th Congressional District, we need your help. You can do phone banking and also donate right there on that webpage. We desperately need your donations as we are running ads and preparing to purchase more material to make sure that we have enough to last us to Election Day. So thank you again for having me on.
No problem. So again, we have been on with Dr. Vanessa Enoch. If you want to donate your time, your talent, or what's left of your tithes from yesterday, hit her up at enochforcongress.com. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Oh, man. I'm just telling y'all, it is a past time for that 8th Congressional District to make a change. It is just past time. And it's not just about all those counties that are represented within that district. It is about the future of America. And so, there's a clear distinction between Warren Davidson and Vanessa Enoch. And not only is it a question of Republican and Democrat, that's irrespective. It's a question of who actually gives a damn about you and who cares about our future. And someone who I certainly know cares about me personally as far as what I do, who cares about us as a community, who cares about Dayton and Xenia and all those areas, Butler County and all those, is our next guest, Miss Desiree Tims. We know her. She is a Democrat running for the Ohio 10th District for the House of Representatives. For those of you in Cincinnati, I know y'all standing up right now because she is the pride of Xavier University. Those in the Dayton Public Schools, I know y'all always excited, and y'all probably already started voting for your home girl and representative of Dayton Public Schools. She is our sister, your advocate, a woman who I've yet to meet in person, but I can't wait to Election Day to celebrate with you. Your future member of the House of Representatives from Ohio, Miss Desiree Tims. Hey, lady.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
For sure. I'm giddy just to have you on my show. I mean, I feel like I'm at Christmas, you know what I'm saying? I see you all around the streets. I see your people. Lately, I've been seeing your commercials, and I'm like, go, Desiree, go, and I'm just excited. So I want to thank you and your peeps for saying yes to this interview and hanging out with a brother like me for a few minutes.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for that introduction, and really excited to cheer on Vanessa as well. We are trying to blaze the trail and make history this cycle. We have a lot of women around the state running for Congress, and Vanessa Enoch is one of the more exceptional ones in the campaign and on the trail. So I'm really thrilled to cheer and blaze the trail with her.
No question. So, I mean, those who know you obviously know, like I said, you are a Democrat. But obviously you are urban sister, grew up in Dayton. You're young, you obviously are female. And those are, everything that gets, everybody from the Baptists to the Kojics to the Pentecostals to everybody excited about you, right? Everybody from the hood to the highway is excited about you. But you also have, you got some Greene County folk and some Fayette County folks who tend to be a little bit older, not as Black, a little bit more rural, a little bit more suburban. And we need to make sure they are excited for Desiree too. Why should you be their choice for U.S. Congress?
Yeah, so I'm excited to be the first African-American to earn the Democratic nomination and to serve as the first woman to represent this district. But I am a hometown girl, as you said, through and through, born and raised in West Dayton. But I grew up on the cusp of the city and sort of right across the road. There's rural areas. My grandparents had a farm. We understand what's happening with broadband right now. Growing up, we didn't have there are still no sidewalks in that part of town, and internet access was not a thing. And making sure the phone lines were good was even the challenge. So I grew up understanding some of the challenges that our rural communities face. Moreover, when I worked on Capitol Hill, I worked on the Senate Agriculture Committee fighting for our farmers who are right now getting screwed under Donald Trump's trade deals and bad tariffs. So I understand what's happening in their community, and I'm able to relate to them. And that's what you want in a member of Congress. You want someone who not only empathizes with you and understands your issues, but who can actually relate, who has experienced them. And that's just my background. I am a melting pot of of our community, and I hope to bring those shared values in the halls of Congress with me.
No question, no question. So, I mean, you're running against a Republican who who I think you may have caught by surprise. I think he probably was like, man, here we go again. I'm about to stump on her. But then now it's pretty clear, you've made it a race here, and you have thoroughly pissed that brother off, and he's out here with attack ads and everything else. So you need to let people know, why is it that Mike Turner is nervous about you? What is the distinction that people need to know that's making him a bit itchy, that maybe, just maybe, his comfortable seat in the Ohio 10th may not be comfortable anymore because of Desiree Tims?
We deserve someone who's going to fight for us, right? A champion, someone who is talking about the real issues. Unfortunately, my opponent has sort of subject himself to dirty politics and cheap attacks that I'm not going to dignify with a response every time. I'm born and raised in West Dayton. I'm a native Daytonian, and I know what our community needs. We need a fight. Mike Turner has an F with the NAACP, an F. He had an A with the NRA. He had an F with the League of Conservation Voters and Sierra Club. We need someone who's going to stand up for civil rights, for raising the minimum wage, fighting for working class people, not just the millionaires and billionaires, but actually people who are living paycheck to paycheck, people who are working 2 and 3 jobs and can't get ahead. That single mom who doesn't have enough money to afford childcare, who's making tough decisions right now. But more importantly, we need someone who's going to fight for us in this pandemic to stay on our health care, to make sure if you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, if you are a cancer survivor, if you've had a baby, if you've been diagnosed with COVID-19, those are all pre-existing conditions, according to the industry. And so Mike Turner has voted to take away coverage from people like that. Well, guess what? My grandmother is a cancer survivor. My grandfather died of lung cancer. I have people in my family who need access to health care. We cannot afford to have people kicked off of their health insurance in the middle of a pandemic. So those are just some of the issues that I'm going to be fighting for in Congress. We have to end gun violence. We have to make sure, I live in a food desert right now. We need to make sure that, our corporations are living up to corporate social responsibility, making sure kids have access to food, our schools are improved. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot happening right now in our country. My opponent has been in elected office for nearly a quarter century. And frankly, it's just time to change.
I mean, that's just real. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we're on with Desiree Tims, who is the Democratic candidate for the 10th district, congressional district in Ohio. And she just laid it out, right? She's let you know. I mean, let's just keep it real. This is me talking. This ain't her talking, but she just gave a report card. She said, F Mike Turner. That's what she said, right? She said she got an F. He got an F in NAACP. Gave him an F. He don't give a daggone about black people. F for poor folk. He don't give a daggone about poor folk. F for sick folk. Whether you're sick, whether you've had pre-existing conditions, whether your grandmama, your aunt. He said F to your grandmama, F to your auntie. He gets an F for all that. Why? Because he cares more about big pharma. He cares more about people making provisions against your parents, against who you are, than for who you are. And so a vote for Desiree Tims is a vote for your auntie, for your grandmama, for your cousin. As we think about right now with COVID-19, she laid it bare for us. She said, listen, the bottom line right now, most of those who have been either infected with COVID-19, maybe they didn't die, but they may have some now pre-existing conditions now that they may deal with heart trouble or respiratory issues, that if you continue to ride with a Mike Turner, if you continue to ride with the Mike Turners and the Donald Trumps of the world, they are not going to give you access to your health care. You have to say no. And the one way to say no is right now, as soon as this show is over, forward, share, and all that, and then tell a friend, grab a friend. And if you are in the 10th Congressional District, vote for Desiree Tims. I mean, that's the bottom line. So let's get to know her a little bit more. You interned with the Ohio, with the Obama White House, right? And you worked on Capitol Hill, right, for two senators, both with Sherrod Brown, who we all love and know, and Kristen Gillibrand, who certainly a powerful house in the Senate. What political lessons, what service lessons, what public interest lessons have you learned in those experiences?
I've had the privilege and honor of working under some of our greatest public servants in this country, working for Sherrod Brown, working in the halls of the White House during the Obama administration's first term, and also working with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. But also walking in the halls where you would see Congressman John Lewis, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge. And so I have been able to see some of our giants lead us. And those are some of the best lessons that you can learn, is actually being a fly on the wall and just taking it all in and seeing how they serve people. This is about service first. And that has to always be top of mind. And I don't think we have emphasized that enough when we talk about people running for office or our politicians or our leaders. It's about public service.
Yes.
So I have really studied under all of those folks and really saw what they're doing and how they're putting people first. But I've also been able to witness the other side and see how they put special interests first and how they really don't care if you don't have enough money at the end of the month to pay your rent. They don't care if you don't have enough money to fill up your gas tank to make all of your trips. They don't care if you have to ration your insulin to get through the week so that you can live. They don't care. And so it's been quite the experience to see both sides and to see who's really fighting for people, who's really fighting for us. That's what this is about.
No, I love it. I mean, those who've been around my website know they're right on the board of my website. It used to be. I don't know if it's there now. I forget. But one of my favorite models that I say is that in order to lead a people, you must love a people. But the proof of loving a people is serving the people. And so you can't lead if you don't serve, right? And so you just laid it out clear. You have to be about the service of a people, not just in a position for 25 years because it's comfortable and your finances depend on it. And you used to be in there and you got a crib in DC and you like to be at those. No, it's about what service have you rendered to those people in Fayette County, to those people in Greene County, to definitely the people in Montgomery County. And I certainly agree with you that Mike Turner has not done that. And we know, like for me, Biden mentioned Charlottesville, right, as the sort of the point, that sort of moment when he decided he had to run for president. For me, and the things that I'm thinking about right now, I'm looking just straight in the eye of Trump's sort of precision-like sort of movement to sort of tear down decency in our public debate and sort of make people disinterested in public life. And so that's what I'm looking at to sort of do the things that I want to do. Was there or is there a moment, an issue, something that sort of clicked your public service light on and said, I must serve the people?
So I graduated from inner city schools. I've always been a mostly straight A student. And when I got to college, I really struggled. I was the first in my family to attend 4-year college. And every time I wanted to give up, I thought about my grandfather who was forced to leave school at the age of 6 to pick cotton in the fields of Alabama. And he always shared this story about how he was forced to leave school and he always wanted to go to school. And they told him one day they was going to let him go back, but he never had the opportunity to go back to school. Yet and still, he was able to, he was part of the Great Migration to Ohio and was able to work in the steel mills. But every time I thought about quitting, I thought about that 6-year-old boy. But the reason I sort of like dug into it a little bit more, I thought, why is this so hard for me? Why am I not able to keep up? And then I thought about the story in high school when my 10th grade teacher told me I had the same history textbook as his daughter, who was in the 4th or 5th grade at the time, attending school on the other side of town. So, there is an injustice that is happening right now in this country when we define people and allow them to succeed based on their zip code and their socioeconomic status. And so that was the first, something's not right here because I've held up my end of the bargain. I've worked hard, I've studied, yet I am struggling to climb up this hill. And then, I thought about what's happening in my community. At the time, we were experiencing the Great Recession. General Motors left. I saw my friends who I grew up with, their parents leaving Dayton for other cities and other states so that they can pay their bills. I saw people's homes get foreclosed, cars repossessed. All of this was happening at the same time as I was sort of experiencing my own personal hardship, my journey. At this time, Barack Obama came along to run for president. And so it was just kind of the perfect storm where I learned more about federal policy and how we need to make sure we're getting the right people in. And I knocked doors. And since that moment, it has really just shaped me into the person I am today and also helped guide me through this career, which is now public service. I've done a lot with nonprofits. I've just been an advocate on the front lines for more than the last decade. And it's rewarding work. And it keeps the fire in my belly because the work is not done.
Right. No, I mean, that's a powerful story. And again, it speaks to the kind of work that I know you're going to do in terms of education reform and building equity and certainly ensuring that schools in Dayton, have the same type of opportunities as, schools in Hilliard or wherever, that is just so important. And so thank you for that story. I know that, you mentioned earlier that all the dynamic women, both in Ohio as well across the country, who are vying for spots here in Congress. And so I know you probably, if you're anything like me, you've probably been thinking, right, what election night gonna look like? Am I gonna have some wings? Am I gonna have what kind of party I'm gonna have, right? But you've probably also been thinking about, like as I said, what January looks like and what Inauguration Day looks like and what wearing that new suit is going to look like when you're among all the members of the House of Representatives. Is there well, first I have a couple small questions that's related to that. Is there a committee that you think you would love to serve on? One, and is there someone that you haven't met that you're sure that once you get to Congress that you're going to meet, that you're going to be as giddy to meet them as I am today to meet you?
Well, thank you so much for that. So yeah, there are committees that I am going to list and put forward. One is House Armed Services Committee because Wright-Patt Air Force Base is in the district, and we want to make sure that we have someone who not only can represent our community and the base, but someone who will be in the majority, who can really bring deliverables back home. And the second committee I'm interested in is the Education Committee. My district has more than 5 colleges and universities, and we really have to make sure we're protecting our institutions of higher learning. And then in terms of meeting someone, unfortunately, I've met everyone on my list.
Wow.
The work that I've done. Just a famous person, Beyonce.
We got to bring her to the party. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, let's bring Beyonce.
Right. Or put the whole state in formation. You know what I'm saying? I know that's right. That's exciting. And so, like I said, I'm just impressed totally with the work that, and you've been embraced. I mean, I've talked to a number of the, state reps and state senators who love you and who love the work that you're doing and who've embraced you. And you've, certainly impacted and energized folk across the state. And so, I'm totally impressed as I watch the work of especially the sisters, but all the folk, all the women who are running in Ohio right now. What is cool for me, and I think I mentioned to you this in our growing up, or at least you or your rep, is that you are not shy in terms of appealing to your youth, right? You know that, as you say, you got 5 colleges, and those students, you have a number of folk in all these counties who are young and maybe first-time voters. And so I know that you partnered or collaborated and maybe even, I think, co-produced a rap track, right, with Yellow Pain, right? And I'm going to quote something that you said, and then I want to talk about that track and why you did it. But I want to quote it because it goes to your not only to your teaching, right? It goes to your care for folk and your teaching. You said, I'm trying to quote this here over here. You said, every time you stay at home, right? And then you went on to say that, and I forgot the quote. I'm sorry, but we'll watch it. But basically, you went on to say that you have to vote, and you talk about the food the kids eat, how much money you bring home every 2 weeks, the clothes. I mean, the sort of the water you drink. Everything is related to your voting or not voting, right? And then you went on to say, so every time you sit out an election, I love when you said this, every time you don't stand up or you don't show up, I think is the word you used, you think it doesn't matter, but someone else is happy to make that vote for you. Tell us about not just that line, but tell us about your collaboration with the Dayton Rising Star rapper Yellow Pain, and why did you all create this track?
Yeah, so Yellow Pain is my first cousin.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I told him early on, I said, I need you to make a song about voting. I have this vision. I want a schoolhouse rock, but that's hip hop, and that's for 2020, to talk to both young people and Black people and other disenfranchised voters who don't feel connected to the process. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, no, we gonna make this happen, or I'm gonna call grandma. And so we sat down and I spent about 6 months sort of tutoring and educating him about voting and the importance of it and going through our history and some of the rebuttals that I heard on the campaign trail, such as, well, I voted for Obama in 2008. And I was like, okay, great, but that's only one out of 3 branches of government. What else are you voting for? Or people saying, well, I'm not really into politics. And I'm like, okay, but politics is into you.
No question.
Dictating the air you breathe, the water you drink, how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. We're talking about raising the minimum wage, cutting taxes for hardworking Americans who frankly just aren't making enough to make ends meet, working 2 and 3 jobs. You work 3 jobs and you're not into politics. Something is not adding up here. You send your kids to public schools, but you're not into politics. Politics is into you. So talking about what it means for people to show up, because it's not just about the top of the ticket. It's about everything else on the ticket. We're not showing up. So when we get in front of a judge who we don't like, well, how did that judge get there? That judge was on the ballot that you skipped out on, or you didn't complete all the way to the end. And so I really wanted to make sure we were reaching more people, particularly young people. That said, we screened the video at church one Sunday, or maybe it was like a Sunday, like after church service. And a guy came up to me over the age of 50, and And he said, oh man, I learned so much. I only vote every 4 years for the president. I check that box and I walk out. I didn't know I was supposed to complete the ballot. I didn't know I was supposed to show up more than every 4 years. And so at that point, I thought, well, we're reaching beyond the target audience and demographic. We're reaching all kinds of people. So I knew that the song was going to grow at that moment, and it has grown tremendously.
No question. And it is so important. And we're going to, at the end here, we're going to play it. But I do want to give you an opportunity now. I know that there are a few people who they may not have many tithes left after church yesterday, but they got some left. And but they certainly got some time and some talents. And so let folk know how to reach you in these last 20 something days and how they might be able to give you an hour or two of their time, $1 or $2 of their tithes, and maybe help you do something as you kind of finish this race strong.
That's right. So if you can donate to our campaign to help keep our ads on TV and on air, please do. The website is timsforcongress.com. You can click the donate button, and we would be thrilled to have your support. In Q2, we outraised Mike Turner 5-1, and the average donation to our campaign at that time was just $50. So dollars really do add up and make a difference. And then finally, if you're able to phone bank, we really need people who can talk on the phone to our seniors who are confused about voting this cycle. They don't have accurate information because of disinformation campaigns happening right here in Ohio. So you can donate 2 hours of your time, just 2 hours, to call someone's grandma, someone's aunt, someone's uncle, someone's grandfather, to let them know this is where you vote, this is how you vote. Do you have any questions? We will provide you with a script, but we really want to make sure that everyone who wants to vote can vote.
Okay. And this is at timsforcongress.com. They can do all that there.
That's right.
Okay. timsforcongress.com. We have been on with Desiree Tims, who, like I said, who now I feel like I didn't met Beyonce, right? I finally met this sister who everybody I know, but I don't know her. And so today I've finally been able to see you in the flesh, kind of on the screen, but certainly to hear your voice and to certainly be even more excited about your race in these last 22 days. You can expect a donation out of me. I'm going to try to find an hour or two to call Grandma and Uncle Ray and them and help you out. I'm going to have some folk help me. I thank you. I really do. I know what this election and what this process has been for you. I know the Herculean task and the mountains that you've had to climb, and I share that with you. I'm just so happy for you, and we're going to celebrate together on November 3rd. Thank you for coming out today.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Bailey, and I'm so excited. To all of those folks who are viewing right now, vote early and vote often.
No question. We go vote open, or we go vote early. We go vote often. And as we close out today in Straight No Chaser, we thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a remarkable day where we've met your next two women from the state of Ohio to represent us in the U.S. Congress. We'll be here Wednesday. Listen, Wednesday, call some more of your uncles and aunties and friends. We are on Wednesday with the Dr. Brittany Cooper. Will be here on Wednesday. You've seen her on CNN, MSNBC, PBS. You've read her book. She is, a New York Times bestseller. She is now a minister. God bless her. She gave her first sermon yesterday. So we'll talk a lot about that on Wednesday. So see you here Wednesday. But as we close out this show, I want us to listen to the track that the future Congresswoman Desiree Tims talked about with her first cousin I didn't know about, Yellow Pain. Thank you. Vote early, vote often, and watch this video if you're insecure. Take care.
Enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes, I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Don't nobody care about us, and that's why I don't vote. Voted for Obama back in 2012, I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can, and everybody got less food stamps. And when I turned 21, I was still broke, I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own, ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the mayor's name, I ain't never seen her one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave a ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just wanna keep us broke, cause they ain't putting none in place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complained enough, let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't wanna see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. That's the mayor, or the governor, and the president. Now none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking them. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do, okay y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't ever even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. Cause they the ones make child support laws, they the ones choose if your kids at school get to eat steak or corn dogs. The State House make the court costs. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't gotta leave after 4 years, and we just let them sit. See, they don't wanna tell you this, they want you to focus on the president. Now the 3rd branch is the judicial, that's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon ain't had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up just for popping willies, we blame the judge and not the city when they let her get voted in, cause they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back, grocery store food better, custody of your kids back, homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters, me and you. Somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is cause we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the pros.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up because you think it doesn't matter, someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.